Now that we have Maya set the way we want it, let me show you around Maya a little bit. I'm not going to show you everything. There are just hundreds and hundreds of little menus and places, but I'm going to start by showing you this guy right here. This is the toolbox. The toolbox allows us to use the select tool, the lasso select, the move tool, the rotate tool, and the scale tool. Those four tools, mainly just select, move, rotate, and scale, are the ones that we're going to use quite a bit. Also on Maya, this is what we call the shelf. This menu right here, I can change the shelf tab to be surfaces or polygons or subdivs. We're going to keep our shelf on polygons for a lot of things we do. This right here is the submenu system. When I make changes here, for instance, your screen might be on an animation already, that gives me the animation menu up here. If I change it to polygons, I get the polygon menu, which includes mesh, edit mesh, normals. Those are just some of the things we're going to use as well. That should get you the basic navigation of Maya, and now we're going to start creating an object in Maya. We're going to create polygon primitives and cube. Keep showing you around this window. This window right here is the camera window. It's going to let us see what our camera sees at that moment. Our camera that we're using right now is given a name. It's really hard to read. Right down at the bottom you'll see PERSP. That's the name of our camera, the main perspective camera. To navigate our camera, there are three tools we need to know. One of them is called tumble. The other one is called pan, and the other one is zoom. We'll start with zoom. Zoom's nice and easy. If you just scroll the wheel on your mouse, it's going to zoom in and out. There's another way to zoom, which is to hold the command key or control key if you're on a PC down on your keyboard, command, and then right click and go in and out. Now we're going backwards here. Right click. Now let's do the middle click. If I do the middle click while holding down the command key, that will allow me to pan, moving the camera back and forth, side to side. And then lastly, tumbling. The tumble will allow us to move around our tiny cube we've created here. Now notice the cube is not centered on the screen anymore. If I hit F or frame, it'll frame that cube on the screen and it'll center it. It's really handy to use your selected object. Currently our cube is our selected object in order to frame that in there. If I hit F, it'll frame that in there nicely. Let's get started creating some objects. To create our objects, we're going to use move, rotate, and scale. Move, rotate, and scale actually correspond to three keys on the keyboard. I can hit them without the mouse. W, E, and R correspond to move, rotate, and scale. And notice when I hit those buttons, the tool changes appearance. This is the scale tool. By hitting this thing and clicking in that direction, that will allow me to adjust the length of my object in the Z direction. This over here is some of the menus I have available. The one I want to look at right now is called the channel box, and the channel box over here shows me that when I change this icon here, the scale direction will change in size. I could go back in here and type in 1 and it would bring it back to its perfect size. Again, I could scale it in the Y direction or the Z direction and adjust that as well. Setting these back to 1 and 1 will bring it back to normal. So you can either type in or adjust those things manually. That's the scale tool, which is got by hitting R on the keyboard. I can also hit E on the keyboard to allow me to rotate. The rotate tool has 4 handles. I can adjust the Z rotation, the X rotation, or the Y rotation, and I can set all those back to 0 if I want, and I can also adjust all of them at once. Now this 4th handle can get kind of confusing since it adjusts the X, Y, and Z axis all at the same time in a way that is hard to control and hard to understand. So I'd recommend that when you're using the rotate tool, deliberately choose the Z, X, or the y-axis rotation handle and not the universal rotation handle that surrounds the whole tool. The scale tool has a universal manipulator that allows us to adjust all the X, Y, and Z axis at the same time. That's a good one to use actually, but the fourth handle for rotation can get in trouble. The move tool has a fourth handle. This little box right here will allow me to adjust its dimension in the X, Y, and Z space, but I want to you guys to learn using just the handles to allow it to only move in one direction at a time. It can get kind of confusing when you're using the universal tool. It can look like your object is where it's supposed to be, but it can actually be way off center. So that's move, rotate, and scale. Another tool I'll teach you right now is the making an object solid. Right now I can see through the object and it's only represented by green lines. If I hit 6 on my keyboard, that object becomes solid and I can see its edges or its faces and the surfaces on the outside of it, and I can't see through it anymore. That is 6. If I want to go back to the other mode, which is called wireframe, I can hit 4 on my keyboard. So 4 and 6 will allow me to switch back and forth. Maya is definitely a mouse and a keyboard driven interface, and you should get in the habit of using both. So far the keyboard shortcuts we've learned are Q, W, E, R for select, move, rotate, and scale. We've also learned how to do F, which frames in our selected objects or parts, and we have also learned that you can do 4 and 6 to make your object solid or wireframe.